Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight as we begin our 17th season on the air. Amazing. Assessing the conventions, that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. My journeys to Tampa and Charlotte were instructive, but not very exciting. The Republican convention featured three main messages. The president has failed to improve the economy and has no clue on what to do next, but Mitt Romney does and can improve things. That's it. It took 4 days to get that out. Things are a bit more complicated on the Democratic side as that party is divided. Traditional Democrats continue to support President Obama, but seem a bit uneasy with the radical turn the party has taken. I mean, look at the primetime speakers, the head of Planned Parenthood, who wants abortion without limits with taxpayers' funding. And just to make sure we didn't miss that point, Sandra Fluke was given a high-profile speaking slot to put forth her vision of the country.
An America in which states humiliate women by forcing us to endure invasive ultrasounds that we don't want, and our doctors say that we don't need. An America in which access to birth control is controlled by people who will never use it.
Now, Ms. Fluke came across as smug and immature, in my opinion. In fact, writing in the Wall Street Journal, Peggy Noonan called Ms. Fluke a, quote, ninny, a narcissist, and a fool, unquote. Dennis Miller also had a great line. He said, the Democrats are for cradle-to-grave entitlements. It's getting to the cradle that's the hard part. Then it was Caroline Kennedy, who offended millions of Christians worldwide when she said this.
As a Catholic woman, I take reproductive health seriously, and today it is under attack. This year alone, more than a dozen states have passed more than 40 restrictions on women's access to reproductive health care. That's not the kind of future I want for my daughters or your daughters. Now isn't the time to roll back the rights we were winning when my father was president.
Well, for the record, Ms. Kennedy's mother and father, the president and Jackie, were not pro-choice, at least not publicly. They did not embarrass their church. Well, the embarrassment continued with the Democrats initially taking the word God out of their platform and then trying to put God back in.
I'll do that one more time. All those delegates in favor say aye. All those delegates opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 have voted in the affirmative. The motion is adopted. And the platform has been amended as shown on the screen. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Booing God. Now, Talking Points does not believe there is a war on women or Hispanic Americans or Black Americans or anybody else. T-Points believes the economy's bad, and the Democratic Party should spend the bulk of its time trying to fix that, rather than ginning up phony controversies and promoting divisive class warfare. I simply cannot figure out why President Obama has handed his party over to extremists. The biggest positive in Charlotte was Bill Clinton, a moderate Democrat. If Mr. Obama thinks Planned Parenthood and Sandra Fluke are going to get him elected, he is making a major mistake. Most Americans aren't ideologues. They just want to give themselves and their families a decent life. Mr. Obama is misreading the country's mood, and his speech demonstrated that. Most Americans still like him, and many will vote for him again. But the more he embraces the radical left, the more he shows disdain for American tradition, and that includes capitalism, the more likely it is that he will lose. The president knows he has not fulfilled his promise to return the nation to prosperity, so the long knives and the loons are out, hoping to distract the voting public. That's not going to work this time. And that's the memo. Now for the top story tonight, reaction. Joining us from Washington, Fox News analyst Mary Catherine Ham and Juan Williams. So Juan, where am I going wrong here?
Well, Bill, I was down in Charlotte. I didn't see any extremists as you described them. You were just a moment ago talking about Sandra Fluke, or Caroline Kennedy. Caroline Kennedy didn't insult the church. She simply said what I think a majority of Catholics believe. You don't have to follow the latest dictates from the Vatican. Spirit, the faith, belief in God is deeply personal.
Right, let me
in
stop
fact, a majority, let me just tell you, a majority of Catholics believe...
You misstated the fact, so I have to correct you.
Okay.
According to Knights of Columbus poll, 75% of practicing American Catholics do not believe in abortion. The Catholic Church condemns abortion. You cannot be a practicing Catholic and promote abortion. You can't, all right, according to the church. So Caroline Kennedy is in deep, deep trouble with her church. Not my problem. Not my problem. It's her problem. But she did she insulted her church by referencing, as a Catholic woman, I want reproductive rights, blah, 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 blah. Secondly,
no, but Bill,
secondly,
okay,
Juan, are you going to sit there in your pink tie and tell me that Sandra Fluke is not an extremist? Are you going to do that tonight to this audience?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, in fact, the Gallup poll said 82% of Catholics believe that a woman can practice contraception. That's not immoral.
Contraception and abortion are two very, very different things.
Absolutely.
Let me repeat the question.
I'm telling you about majority of Catholics believe
You're trying to pettifog the issue and combine contraception and abortion. That's not what this is about.
Let me just go directly to the question.
Answer my question. Is Sandra Fluke an extremist or not?
Not at all. And 40% of Catholics agree with Caroline Kennedy that abortion is not immoral.
That's wrong. 75% think it's immoral. That's the poll.
I'm telling you, Gallup.
Why you're making stuff up here? I got the poll right in front of me. 75%.
Hey, I got the Gallup poll right here, my friend. Gallup, Gallup, Gallup.
I don't believe that. I think you're reading it wrong. I think you're reading that Gallup poll wrong. I don't have that Gallup poll here.
40% of Catholics believe that abortion is morally acceptable, Bill. I mean, the reality is, you know, the laws, the dictates of the Pope and the Vatican change. You know, they used to say you couldn't eat meat on a Friday.
Okay.
They changed that rule.
Here's the abortion poll right here. Abortion practicing Catholics, morally acceptable, 25%. Morally wrong, 75%. That's the poll, Juan, all right? So let's get it straight. Now, do you think Sandra Fluke is an extremist, Mary Catherine?
I think most of what she pitches is a little extreme. She was up on the stage talking about how everyone should pay for everyone else's birth control, which and the allegation from her. Yeah,
you think she's an extremist? Wait. You guys are just you got to answer my questions. You think she's an extremist, correct, Mary Catherine?
Yeah, I think she's outside.
Do you think the president of Planned Parenthood, all right, is an extremist?
Outside the mainstream as well.
Do you think she's an extremist? Yes.
Outside the mainstream as well. And here's the issue. No, here's the allegation from them on stage that people like me allegedly want to take us back to some sort of dark age for women, which apparently is 3 months ago when you might have to pay for your birth control if the 10% of plans that don't cover it didn't cover you. I think it's ridiculous. And I do think about half the DNC was a distraction on those social issues. The other half was a super keen time warp to the rose-colored glasses version of the 1990s.
I know what's happening here. I know you guys got to think back to the factor before the conventions. I know you've been at the conventions and you've been bloviating. You're going on and on and on. Just answer my questions, okay? I don't need 2.5 minutes of
all right,
of
so
other
ask
stuff.
A question.
Here's the next question. Here's the next question.
I want to answer something that Mary Catherine said earlier, but go right ahead.
We've now said that Sandra Fluke, in Mary Catherine's opinion, and the head of Planned Parenthood, both are extremists. Is booing the inclusion of God in the platform, the Democratic platform, Mary Catherine, is that an extremist action? Booing the inclusion of the word God. Is it extremist?
I think it was the inclusion of the word God, and it was certain platform parts about Israel. I think both.
But it was God that was
illustrated.
The big one. Is that extremist?
No, they were both at the same time, and they're both important. And the far left version of those positions
is it extremist or not?
Yes.
Thank you, Juan. Is it extremist?
No, and you know what? I feel like a guy with a mop. That they were talking about God-given abilities. That was a phrase. They weren't talking about God, and they have lots in the platform about faith.
They weren't talking about God. The question was, should we have the word God in the platform?
No, it was
At first it was no, and then they put it back.
God-given abilities, Bill, and that was all it was. And you know what? Let me just say this to Mary Catherine. When you have states under Republican governors who want to use invasive ultrasounds, you know,
invasive ultrasounds.
If that's not extremist and radical, they're the ones that are radical, Mary Catherine.
You have a platform that says you want taxpayer funding of all abortions at all levels of pregnancy.
We'll continue this discussion sometime in 2014. Thank you very much. Next on the Rundown, Karl Rove on the latest polls.